Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby joins me now. Thank you very much, John, for being with us. Let's start with the situation on the ground. The convoy now moving, breaking up, moving around. Tell us what you think the strategy is. Are they trying to encircle Kyiv, as is being reported? And how long might that take?
We do assess that the Russians are, in fact, trying to encircle and eventually force the surrender of Kyiv, which we believe that they expect could involve actual fighting inside Kyiv. They're making some progress over the last 24 hours. Andrea, I don't want to overstate it, but to the east, they're somewhere between 20 and 30 kilometers away from Kyiv, and to the northwest, where they have been trying through this the failure of this convoy to move closer. They're still about 15 to 20 kilometers to the north and northwest of city center, but they have made a little bit of progress over the last 24 hours. And as Richard very rightly reported, they're running into an even more aggressive Ukrainian resistance. The Ukrainians are going to fight hard. We've seen them fight hard. We expect that they'll continue to fight hard for their capital city.
We know the estimates were initially that they would start this invasion. They could take Kyiv in 2 to 5 days. Clearly, that has not worked. Putin is losing on the ground, but he's now, we knew he was going to regroup. He is now breaking up that convoy, and he's making progress on the ground, certainly from the south as well. Can you describe the way he is trying to cut off the south and the pincer movement, if you will?
Essentially what they've done, Andrea, is moving on multiple lines of access here. We talked about Kyiv in the northwest and the northeast sort of angle. They are also moving up from Crimea, and they're splitting off to the northwest and to the northeast against Mariupol. As Richard reported, we assessed that Mariupol is now isolated. They moved into and out of the city of Kherson to the northwest out of Crimea. We're not exactly clear where their next step is going. It could be to make a left turn and put pressure on Odessa, which is right there on the northern Black Sea coast. We're just not sure where they're going to go, but clearly they're moving inside Ukraine, mostly to the east and on multiple lines of effort. And they have started to gain a little bit more momentum over the last couple of days as they have tried to address the logistics and sustainment challenges that they've been facing. But obviously, in these major population centers, which we know they want to take, they have met with a stiff Ukrainian resistance. It's not just in Kyiv, it's in Kharkiv, it's in Chernihiv, it's in Mariupol. And even in Mykolaiv, just to the north up the coast from Odessa, they are facing a stiff Ukrainian resistance.
We heard the assessments this week from the intelligence community that they would then turn to grind down the resistance. How long do you think the Ukrainians can resist, especially in the capital?
It's difficult to be perfectly predictive, and I think we need to be very careful when we talk about timelines here. I mean, as you said, it was clear that Vladimir Putin underestimated the kind of resistance he was going to face, and that he expected to have made much more progress. Here we are on day 16, and really he doesn't have a lot to show for it other than the death and destruction and the casualties that he's caused inside Ukraine, but he's achieved really none of his preset objectives. So it's hard to be perfectly predictive. It is clear, though, that the Ukrainians are serious about defending their country and their people, their sovereignty, and that they're going to continue to fight on bravely. We in the West, and certainly here in the United States, are going to do everything we can to continue to help them do that, to continue to help them defend themselves.
As you know, there's huge pressure, not only from President Zelensky, most importantly from him. They want air power, but huge pressure from the Hill, from Senators Romney, from Senator Graham, from Democrats. And I get what the Pentagon is saying, that to create a no-fly zone, you have to take out Russian air defenses, which means attacking Russia proper and bringing us into the war. I understand that fully. But explain why there's nothing that we can do that, against the bombing raids.
It's not that there's nothing that we can do. We're actually doing a lot. And the kinds of material that they are getting, the anti-armor, the air defense systems that not only the United States but 14 other nations are flowing into Ukraine, are helping them do exactly that, to defend their airspace and to defend their country. And they're using these tools with great effect, including surface-to-air missile systems. So we are doing a lot to help them defend themselves and to defend that airspace. That airspace, Andrea, is well covered by Russian surface-to-air missile systems, almost the entire country. So it's a very contested bit of airspace. And you're right, if you put American planes, American pilots in that, you're basically going to war with Russia. I, as a young officer on an aircraft carrier, participated from the ship in a no-fly zone effort over northern Iraq. It is combat. There's no way you can do that without being willing to shoot and be shot at. It is combat, and I don't think it's in anybody's interest, certainly not Ukraine's interest, for the United States and Russia to be getting in a war in their airspace.
Let's turn to the potential for false flags from Russia. We saw this UN Security Council meeting, which had not been scheduled, which Russia insisted on to create this false claim that the U.S. was doing something, and Ukraine, on biological and chemicals, when it's Russia that has used this in the past. Do we have real evidence that they're planning to, or is this just the appearance of what they've said before, and that they've used false flags before, and that they've used banned chemicals?
Well, you're right. This is a country that has a twisted history here when it comes to using chemical and biological weapons, and they have a program. Now, look, I don't want to get into an intelligence assessment here, Andrea. But we have seen them do this in the past. We have also seen them use sort of pretextual arguments for something that they might want to do in the future. Again, no indications to speak to, certainly on TV here, but I would tell you that we're watching this very, very closely, and it's an utterly absurd, as Ambassador Thomas Greenfield said, absurd claim that we are helping Ukraine develop bioweapons. That's just not true. It's laughable. But that they would use such a claim for some sort of pretextual event in the future, that's something we're very concerned about.
Why does the British Prime Minister and the Foreign Secretary, whom I interviewed yesterday, why do they talk so plainly about war crimes? They petitioned among 39 countries to the International Criminal Court. Why is the U.S. so reluctant to call a spade a spade? We saw what happened in Mariupol with the maternity hospital. Why can't we call it a war crime?
We certainly support the ongoing investigations into war crimes. We believe that that's a valid investigative endeavor. But again, we want to make sure that what happens here is that the war stops. That's what our focus is on, and we still think there could be a diplomatic path forward here. And we do believe that Russia should be held accountable for any war crimes that they may conduct. But again, there's an investigative process going on, and we want to respect that.
John Kirby, as always, thanks. You're a busy man. Thanks for taking time for us today. We really appreciate it.